Hello and welcome to LedgerCast. My name is Brian Krogsgaard. I'm here with Josh Olsowich. Hey, Josh.
Mr. Brian, I've come down from my throne, my Cloud Pope throne, to visit all of you today to discuss the inevitable, that which is the all-time high for Bitcoin coming.
The clout has been harvested.
Am I the Clout Pope as well? I might be. I don't know.
Your storage silos are just full of clout that you can feed on for the long winter ahead whenever it shall come.
It was a bumper crop this year.
Yeah, and you deserve it. I'm proud of you. You know what else? I'm proud that we have Matcha as a partner for this podcast. And you can go to ledgerstatus.com/matcha to check it out today to buy cryptocurrencies. Whether you're buying wrapped Bitcoin, fleeing from the mayhem of altcoin landscapes, or if you're dipping a toe in, buying the dip on the alts, you can go to ledgerstatus.com/matcha, MATCHA. Check it out. It is a fantastic way to trade. Fantastic user experience. Quality site, made by the fine folks behind the 0x protocol. The lowest fees. You can do it with size. Josh, what's the downside? What's the downside?
I honestly, I don't have one. If I was trading any of that stuff, that's where I'd go.
I've been in old WBTC for a while now, and I bought it through Matcha because it's the best way to do it. If you're going to trade on DEX, they pool the liquidity. Yeah, WBTC.
That's another. Speaking of PayPal, which we should just lead with PayPal, right?
Yeah, we should lead with PayPal. Let's talk about it. Go ahead.
So, what year was it? Was it all the way back to 2015 or some year? We had another PayPal pump. I can't remember when. There was like Microsoft, PayPal. Like we've gone through this like series of events already. This time it's kind of for real. So PayPal announced that they're going to be offering some sort of buy-sell mechanism for crypto, including BTC. They won't be offering transfers on and off, so it's not like Cash App where you can actually buy it and take it off, but baby steps, right? This could be a thing eventually.
Yeah, you won't actually ever have custody.
Right.
You'll just
So the first question is, do they actually have to buy any BTC? If it's like, what's the legal underlying there? You know what I mean?
Right. And it's also going to be on Venmo, which I think is cool. I mean, around my parts, Venmo is used a lot. Like normal people use Venmo, and PayPal is used like for people that buy online and stuff. But we don't send PayPal to friends and stuff, whereas we use Venmo to pay each other back all the time. Alongside that news is also that PayPal is in talks to buy multiple crypto firms, including BitGo, the leader in custody, and the people who back WBTC. So when you buy,
my next question is, what is going to be the legal ramifications for WBTC if BitGo is acquired by PayPal?
I don't know. They'll come out with BTC Pal or something. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
I can imagine a world where there's additional KYC AML requirements there.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I don't know. But they are looking to buy multiple firms. Basically, they're going deep. And it makes sense. I mean, it makes sense for PayPal if they see the writing on the wall for digital currency, fiat, as well as cryptocurrency. Like they want to have as much control as they can, get a lead in terms of digital currency. And they're watching things like Square and what Square's doing. And, the corporate world is a copycat world.
Yeah, I mean, you can't look at what's going on with Jack and just the deep involvement with crypto that he has, multiple levels, avenues. They can't look at that and say, like, we're just going to ignore this at this point,
Yeah, definitely not.
But the funny thing is always the articles that say, like, this is why price is up, we're up 13% because of PayPal news or whatever. It's like, well, I don't think I agree with that. It's great when technicals and news like coincide, but obviously we were ready to go up. We just, you could say it's a catalyst, I guess, but I don't know. We were ready for some up movements here.
Oh yeah, I mean, we even had started the breakout. It wasn't
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, it just happened to help.
It's kind of like the Square news too. It's like, well,
We
I
were,
guess like
yeah,
this, Square has this treasury, whatever. I guess that sort of moved the needle a little bit, but
yeah, we were on
didn't
our
hurt,
way.
right? It didn't hurt.
Right.
But at the same time, this OKEX news, which still lingers on, where people can't withdraw their stuff from OKEX for the most part, hasn't affected the market yet. There's always some game theory to be done there. If OKEX enables withdrawals for specific things only, or like USDT or Tron or BTC, then you're going to see like some wonky stuff there going on, just as you did with Bitfinex in 2018,
Yeah.
where BTC spiked super high because Tether had delays and stuff. So that could still happen if OKEX doesn't completely figure out what's going on there. But uh, so far, it hasn't affected the market.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the type of FUD that like something worse could happen there, and it spikes into turns into our dip that we've been looking for. Like, there's always something to show up.
Well, what would the FUD be? Like the worst of it kind of already happened, right?
Well, what if their funds did get locked somehow? Like,
That'd be bullish.
yeah, but the market's not going to treat it like that immediately. I don't think.
I don't know. I'm not concerned about it, honestly. What like the worst that could happen is they could say it's hacked or stolen. Then you have people trying to exit the stolen stuff. I don't know. I'm just not really super concerned about it. If it's like if they try to steal Tether, good luck. They're just gonna freeze it. If they try to steal any of the stable coins, they're just gonna freeze that. If they try to steal EOS or Tron, they're just gonna freeze that. So I
Well,
don't know.
if you are cool with it, I'm cool with it.
I don't see it being a major issue. It's obviously an issue if your coins are there and you can't get your money. Big issue,
Yeah.
but I don't think it's a major issue.
As a side note, I am pretty sure we're going to be okay, but I'm also getting a warning that I only have 9 minutes left of recording on my mixer. So I started recording on the desktop too. But if we have to stop, y'all know why. But I think we're good. Just as a side note. It's a precautionary warning.
Gotcha.
I think I covered it though. Nevertheless, what's going to bring us down, Josh? What could take us down? Bring me back to earth.
That's always the next question. It's always like, when's the breakout? Targets are I didn't get in. Where's the dip? That sort of stuff.
Yeah. Weekly
So,
close level is very clearly now like 11, 9, 12K. Like if you just in isolation, I know you pulled up a pitchfork, but if I just show like, if it just goes and taps the bottom of, wherever the last weekly close was, it's 11, 9, 12K. To me, that is like the lowest it'll go to maintain a strong trend. I don't think we'll get that low. And now you've got your pitchfork up. What are you looking at there? If it stays in that channel?
yeah, so the big thing is the current channel, which you may or may not see if you don't have a pitchfork on your chart. But once you you don't need the pitchfork to see this, but once you add it to the chart, you just see, oh yeah, we're obviously in this channel, right?
Okay, I normally don't like your pitchforks, but I think this one is actually really clean. Like,
wow, hold on, I gotta take a good thing I'm sitting down. Take a deep breath there. I got a little lightheaded.
Well, this one doesn't have 2017 like blowing through the top of it, 2019 blowing through the bottom. It's got a beautiful anchor from the lows. It's got the 2019 high. It's got the 2020 low. And like the way that it's bouncing off the individual channels, it's very nice looking. It's clean. This is the type of channel I could jive with for the next couple years,
It does suggest that the levels will be respected in the future because of how they've been respected in the past. But yeah, so this channel, big deal right now. Median line, this yellow line is where we want to go, 18.5. If we compare that to ETH is already
above the line.
in that median line area. So to expect ETH to outperform BTC in the near term, I think is silly. I think BTC will catch up
Okay, I have a question.
to that level.
Why
Yeah.
is your top anchor on the ETH one not the high?
So a lot of people ask me about this. I like to be more conservative.
Okay, so you could put it there. It would
You
just lower the angle.
right, you could definitely put it here. The other issue is I'm looking at this diag.
Yeah.
Like this is all super subjective, but I'm just being more conservative. The diag lines up to me, makes more sense on the anchor.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a lesser rate of change, really.
Okay.
And if anything, it says this is overbought, which makes sense as well. So it's not like completely
Well,
out of
sure, but
question.
the bottom anchor of the 2020 low was clearly oversold by a lot. So
This one,
yeah, that was
yeah. I mean, you could move this, to here, and you'd be in the same situation, right?
yeah. Nevertheless, this ends up giving you some channels that you might be able to respect.
Right. And with this one, you could say, all right, 666, oddly enough, is the median line there.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could easily use this one as well.
Okay. I was just curious how you defined that. Nevertheless, that Bitcoin one especially, I really like. It just seems pretty straightforward, really clean. All right.
Well, this
So
one,
let's just say
you could use this as well
like
if you
that.
want. If you want to see, but this doesn't make sense,
Yeah,
right?
it gets dumber over time. The structure of this one I like it. Anyway, let's say this pitchfork is it is our path, the way. It is the king over the next couple of years. What is our 2 years from now? Let's say late stage bull cycle. Where are we at?
2 years from now?
Yeah.
Well, people ask the forward testing question or like the future, but if we look at back testing, and you're not going to like this, but if we just draw the pitchfork on,
We blew out of it, but we rode it for a long time first.
right. So my argument is, if this is where in the cycle are we now, right? Relative to where we were in 2015, 2016, we're probably somewhere in the early stages.
Yeah.
So realistically, where could this go? At the very minimum, it wants to go to the maximum upside of the pitchfork, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if we do that, let's say we go to the top of the pitchfork sometime in the next year or two, what kind of ranges does that give us for a bull market? And that's that's not a once in a lifetime, whatever a variation, 4 standard deviation move like we had going to 17, 18K. What's just kind of a, oh, good, we had a bull market. We went in this channel for a couple years. It was very bullish. Just go over to your channel and let me see it.
Yeah, I will. But by the way, one of these moves over here was PayPal or Microsoft. I can't remember.
Oh,
which.
really?
Yeah.
One of the up moves was?
I think it was 2015. It might have been this, Microsoft. But again, it's so funny how like all this news stuff is relevant when you'd like, oh, this is white coffee and accumulation. Who gives a crap about news, right? Or oh, we're in a pitchfork. Who cares about the Bitfinex hack? We just tap the bottom of the pitchfork and it's game on. Or who cares about China banning Bitcoin in January? Who cares about the coin ETF getting denied? None of that matters because we're still above the 200. We're still in the pitchfork. So using the same logic to where we are now,
it's just trend following, bro.
We're thinking. Honestly, the numbers are scary to say out loud because
say it. Just say
it. Because I don't want people to be like, "Oh, it's 33
Josh
gig,
said
33K guys predicting 55K."
No, that's too soon. That's like the steepness of that angle is absurd. But if let's say it takes 2 years, you're like, yeah, do it like to the right side of your screen.
2 years. I like to look at the median line as far as the expectation.
That's
so
like 60,
January is
that's like 60K.
It's 50, 60K.
Yeah, that's hard to believe.
Yeah, it is. But it wants to do this, right? But it wants to live here.
Right.
So one thing that will cause a dip or may cause a dip would be the Gox coin distribution.
Let's dig into that for a second. But first, I want to say, and by the way, there's a What Bitcoin Did with the Winkle V and it was the case for $500,000 Bitcoin. And I decided before that moment, but really like convinced in that moment, if Bitcoin is ever worth $500,000, I won't own any Bitcoin, or I'll be buying my milk with like 10 Satoshis or something. It'll be one of the two. And a guy that I really like on Twitter responded to me and was like, don't you know that that's only the same market cap as gold? And I was like, God, that's so absurd. Like, are we really early? Can you say we're early?
Well, look at the market caps of what is it, Amazon versus like, or like Tesla versus all the big four auto guys, right? Like, what does market cap even mean anymore? You know?
Yeah, that's true. It's just, it's hard for me to believe. It's hard for
That's why I say like saying 50K out loud is scary because
someone said 66K by July. High
yeah.
IQL. July 2023.
Well, I said in a couple of videos this week, like the number is almost irrelevant. The price is irrelevant. Like it's going to take more money to keep us up at those levels, but at the end of the day, if more people are buying than selling, that's all it is, right? Like that's all 2017, 2018 was.
Yeah, that's how it goes. I get it. It's just wild. It's wild.
It's super wild.
Could I become a no coiner? It's possible. You give me enough money for a Bitcoin, I'll sell it to you.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
This is how people back last time, they were selling all their coins at like 5K or something because it was 5 times or 4 times the previous high.
well, that was me. I was paying off student loans at 5K because I was like, I owe a bunch of money. I've been holding Bitcoin since 2013.
Yeah,
Um, I was just like ready to sell, right? Like
right.
my mindset wasn't this can go to way, way higher. It was just it's time
This is a
to
good
pay off
price.
some shit, right?
Yeah. I can imagine the scenario where that happens to me this cycle. It's not that hard to imagine. Except for, yeah. Anyway. All right. What was the other thing here? The Mt. Gox coins. Tell me about the Mt. Gox situation. They postponed it to December, is all I know. But they could release some. They could release some coins. Like people could actually get coins back.
Yeah, so they have like let's say 150K BTC and a bunch of other altcoins, BTC forks, whatever. Um, they've pushed back the distribution for this several times now, as far as giving people their coins back.
Yeah.
And there's a big process with this. You have to go through to prove that you had an account there, and they have to match your information and whatever else. But I don't know if them pushing it back again signals that a high percentage of the coins are still unclaimed, which is possible.
And then those would be auctioned.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or
I don't
would
know what
the
where their
remember the
mindset is
Gox
on that.
guy who like would panic sell them or something?
Well, that was the other thing.
That
The
was
trustee,
yeah, the
was
trustee.
selling. He said he didn't, but it's very obvious when he did.
Yeah, he sold throughout the bear market.
He was selling at all the highs basically, and then he sold some down here. He sold some down here and some here.
Yeah.
He also sold some in like August or something back here, but um, yeah. So there's a lot of coins that could be unlocked basically. It's just supply demand again. So I think if we do get a dip, like let's say you're a millionaire that's been lying in wait for years, what are you going to do with your coins, Brian?
Probably let a couple of them go.
Yeah, yeah. I think anybody when they get a windfall, they're going to sell.
Yeah.
Some, even the diehard community maximalists are going to sell their coins to just improve their life, right? Like it's that simple at the end of the day. I don't know if that'll be enough to like move the needle here, but it might be enough as a market signal to put in a low like we did for all the news events, in the previous cycle. This could be our China bans Bitcoin, coin ETF, SegWit 2x. Like it could be one of these dips in the current cycle,
And if you don't think China can ban Bitcoin again, think again. It's like a hobby of theirs.
I'm surprised with the DCEP, their digital currency. I'm surprised they haven't banned Tether specifically yet already.
What month did Mt. Gox happen? I know it was
Like
2014.
back here.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember Trying
Well,
to
it was. I don't think people realize like it was a long process
yeah, people they had warning signs.
between someone's buying there like the Willy bot, right? Like somebody was auto buying coins. There was that. There was the slow withdrawal system.
Yeah, leading up to February 2014, this is on Investopedia. Customers expressed increasing frustration with problems withdrawing funds. The fatal blow was February 2014, though. That was when Bitcoin went down 20%, and they discovered they had, quote, lost more than 850,000 Bitcoins, or 6% of all Bitcoin in circulation at the time. All right, so February 2014, I mean, it was basically the distribution top at $800 Bitcoin. So Bitcoins weren't that cheap then, but it was like relative to where the bear market ended. It dropped 75% after that. So it marked the top of that cycle. But still, if you had $800 Bitcoin and now you get some of those back, and it's at minimum 10 times at 8,000, but it's really much, potentially much more than that. Yeah, you might sell some.
So I know a few people who actually, there are a few companies who were reimbursing people for their claims before the claims were.
Oh, so the claims were tradable?
Right. So the claims are tradable at a incredibly lower value than currently is the price, but you get your money quicker, basically. So not only are the people who just got their claim vanilla and like are getting their money probably going to sell, but all the companies who were buying up these claims from people are probably taking profit as well. I'd imagine. This doesn't, again, it doesn't necessarily mean the price is going to drop dramatically, but I think it will be an event for the market, certainly.
Yeah. Man, this goes back to the breakout that we had, but when I look at this weekly BLX and what we broke out of, like you look at the horizontals, you look at the diagonals, you look at the thrust of the price action and candle breakout. I mean, I heard on Macro Voices, which is a macro podcast, they included Bitcoin in their weekly wrap up because they were just like, this is undeniable. Like the bullishness of this breakout is undeniable. And then they were like, so do you think gold's going to follow? But it was funny hearing them talking about it. But like, I feel like legacy people are looking at Bitcoin very seriously right now. And you add on top of this company news and all this stuff, like this is the real deal this time, Josh.
Well, I was saying,
I don't think we can Gucci it that badly, no matter what we say today.
I said in a video earlier this week, if you're bearish here, I'd love to know your evidence because I can't try to find a bearish thing about this.
It's hard. It's
Like
hard. It's hard to
literally every single technical indicator I look at is bullish. I can't find a bearish thing. If even exchange inflow outflow is bullish, incredibly bullish. Hash rate bullish, on-chain stats bullish, NVT MVRV bullish.
Yeah.
I can't find anything. I
There's
just
nothing
can't.
that you look at and say like, "Wow, this is so overbought. This has to pull back." Yada yada yada.
Unless you're Bloomberg, who put out that article this week.
Did they?
They said Bitcoin is expensive. That's what they said.
Congrats. Yes.
They said because RSI was over 80
on like the daily or something.
That it's overbought. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a funny perspective.
Daily RSI is at 1.3.
There is a bear div here, though. Definitely an unconfirmed bear div.
Well, if you look back at, I mean, really a lot of dates, but the RSI went to technically overbought territory throughout the bull market from 2015 to 2017.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think a lot of people don't realize, if they don't know enough about RSI, that RSI can just surge at lows or at highs for a long time.
Yeah.
Look at the weekly RSI.
I was about to say it first went overbought on the weekly RSI in November 2015 as the bear market was ending. And then it continuously would have peaks all the way up and never went below 52. I remember watching that trend line, that whole bull market too. Because we talked about, I'm sure we talked about it on a podcast. Like I bet we were talking about it January 2018, talking about, hey, if RSI goes below that trend line, that is something that could warn us that this is, it's game over. Because despite looking back at it, we could have bounced at, 10K and continued on and gone to 30K. That was in the realm of possibility. And when you're trying to predict those types of things, looking at momentum through something like RSI was totally in the cards. But we just made these high peaks and then would stop at 50 throughout the bull market on that weekly RSI.
That's why, to me, the level that nobody talks about with RSI is 50. Like, that's the bigger deal to me than 80 or 30.
And look at where we're already establishing some weekly low RSIs now, right around 50.
Have you seen weekly MACD? I don't know if you're much of a MACD guy, but
I haven't been a MACD guy since 2017. But like, things kind of when you're trying to find where in the world do I get back in something incredibly bullish like that's moving like this, then sure, I'll be a MACD guy.
Weekly MACD flipped bullish again. It
Like
basically pulled a bullish TK recross where it.
This is very bull market things. Like
this tried to go down but couldn't.
Yeah. When you're buying into a cycle or into bullish markup, you're looking for consolidation. You're looking for, it's like an athlete that is, just resting between exceptional performance plays. Like they just go to the sidelines, they get some Gatorade before they go back out there, and you just are looking for, when do I pop on the back of this person before they get off the sidelines, go back in the game. Like that's what you're looking to do in these higher momentum markets. So, yeah, I'm fine with looking at momentum tools like RSI and MACD and stuff as we feel like the bull market is really getting going.
And that's why you buy the dip when there's a clear trend that's been established,
Yeah. Okay. Let's pull it back. Let's pull it back a little bit. Come back to today. Come back to Earth. I know we're playing this slightly differently right now you're still in your margin positions. I was in a margin position, and now I'm looking to re-enter my margin positions. So just like we were just saying, okay, well, when do you do that? I was talking about on the Twitters, like I'm really interested in kind of this 12.2 to 12.5 area, somewhere in there, if I'm looking to buy a dip. You're playing more the get in and strap in, stay there. I was more like, okay, I want to go ahead and secure the win that I got and then get back in on consolidation or a dip or something like that. So how do you recommend the people pick up these mid time frame dips and re-enter their positions?
So the first thing I always go to is the daily Kijun for dip potential.
Yeah, I have the 4 hour. This is where also like even 1 hour, but 4 hour trends, that kind of stuff starts to really collide.
Yeah, you can go lower, but I start at the daily.
At a minimum, go to the daily.
11.5 is currently the level.
Yeah. 11.5 sounds like, wow, we really screwed the pooch there. But like we talked about on that weekly retest, 11.9 at a kind of highest, we could wick 11.5 and you'd be like, buy the Kijun, baby.
Yeah. On the 4 hour, it's 12.2, which is a reasonable dip to expect, I think. So yeah, I mean, it's that simple. I don't really look at anything else for dips. I was watching this parabolic.
Oh, that's interesting.
Thing on the low time
inverse
frames.
Banana.
So it's something. I don't know why we've seen so many of these lately, and even in gold, we saw that multi-year thing. Yeah, I don't know. I think it looks fine though. Trend-wise, there was a case to be made for an inverted Adam and Eve here too.
Yeah, things like, I mean, we're responding pretty bullishly, but I mean, this will be irrelevant by the weekend and by some people listening, but it's a good process to think through, right? If you're looking at where do I buy the dip, where do I, change my mind? If you were to look at an hourly chart right now and treat it like the daily, then this would be telling you to close your longs, for instance, using a cloud system. TK recross It just means to be neutral. And if it's bearish, it could go like that edge to edge cloud on an hourly chart, takes you to about 12.4. Well, it's also about where this, not exactly, but the flat Keynesian on the 4 hour, there's a C clamp here, some of those types of things. Of course, if you look at the last consolidation, you never really got your move on the flat Keynesian. It came down there, but it didn't tap it. That's just a sign of bullishness. This stuff happens in bull markets. But I could imagine the consolidation taking a little while based on looking at something like the C clamp on the 4 hour.
And if you're aggressively exiting on the 1 hour TK cross, then you have to aggressively re-enter on the same 1 hour time
right.
frame.
That's exactly right.
Because it could quickly just get away from you.
Right. So for somebody like me looking to re-enter, if we got that, if you're doing a trend following system, like following a cloud, you get a TK recross, it's probably going to coincide with going back above maybe 13.1, and that gives us more opportunity for upside. That's essentially what I'm doing. I mean, I sold the breakdown of like this, you could kind of point towards this tiny consolidation, and it just seemed too short for me. So I just, I took profit when it started to break down from that. And now I just wait for consolidation. How about this drawing? So I just want to see more of a pattern. I want to see more of a pattern form. I want to see something, right now, I just feel like you're paying to be long while it chills.
Yeah. I mean, you're describing day trader psychology basically, which is I'm in profit. It's slowing down. I'm going to close my position. Right.
Right. And then wait.
And that's where you get situations like this, where you get this messy consolidation. And I think this is a valid inverted Adam and Eve. So below 12.7, I would expect us to go back to 12.1, 12.3 somewhere.
Yeah.
I
have bids from 12.2 to 12.5 basically, because I feel like if we get below 12.7 or so, I think it'll cascade a few $100 and I'll just try to trap those wicks, right?
Yeah, and that's the key, to have the bids on the book. You can't think to yourself, I'm out, this is going lower, and just do nothing. Like, you have to be ready, you have to be proactive about it, like you are, where you say to yourself, okay, I think it's going to go at least to here. I'm going to put some of the orders above, some of the orders below, and that way, if I'm not at the desk or whatever, obviously your position will get filled or partially filled.
And for what it's worth, this doesn't affect my spot positioning at all. Like, I'm in spot. I hope to be in. I don't want to sell spot until the market's done. At 60K. I don't know.
You're basically,
or if
hedging.
There's one of those like 30% drawdowns that pops up. I'm hedging my margin positioning. Like, I want to collect a little bit of margin profit the whole way up. And that's how I increase my Bitcoin without being in altcoins.
And if we look at ETH, it actually already had its M double top breakdown.
Yeah.
Whereas BTC failed to break down yet.
And on ETH, you could say I screwed up, but if my theory plays out, ETH will just move a little more. But I was thinking 401 to 406, kind of protect 400. And then all of a sudden, Bitcoin goes down $50 and Ethereum took that move. I was like, well, that was quick. And so now I'm thinking like, okay, well, if Bitcoin does the rest of the move down, maybe Ethereum will go to 390, something like that. And that's the type of perfect like trap for bulls, like, oh, Ethereum lost 400, panic, it's going down. And like, that's where you buy.
Well, ETH still doesn't even have its daily TK recross.
Yeah.
So ETH, as bullish as ETH is,
it's lagging.
It hasn't even started,
Right.
It's just catching up to BTC at this point.
Yeah.
Which is why I think 500 plus easy by end of year, maybe even 750, which we talked about
789
ago.
789.
789.
I mean, yeah. And if you put this in, I tweeted this, I guess, when I went for the attention, but if you put ETH's weekly in linear, I mean, it's really absurd to look at. Like, all that crap, the whole bear market just looks like a huge accumulation zone in a linear chart.
Yeah, it does.
And it looks like we just broke up, hit the retest, and it's like a spring, and we're ready to go freaking buck wild. Like, $800 looks like a completely reasonable target on the chart like that. So anyway, going back
Yeah.
to those hourly, 4 hour, how do you get in? When do you get in? I don't think you do. I don't think you buy when you get like, you know, a a half dozen 5-minute Chad candles in a row and you FOMO. You either look to buy those dips or you wait for the consolidation to appear and you anticipate that breakout with a stop or something like that. It's kind of how I look at it, at least. All while maintaining my spot exposure. If Bitcoin goes up, I'm happy. If Bitcoin goes down, I want to long it. That's riding the trend. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. You could be aggressive with it or you could be passive. You could have both positions. You could have half and half. Like it just depends on, I don't know, basically how much time you want to spend in front of the screen.
Yeah, that's true.
But
If you don't
they,
want to spend as much time in front of the screen, I mean, Josh, a lot of what you've been talking about is, you know what, I have a 28-day window on my positioning for, what we're allowed to do as Americans. And I'm going to keep a long open because here was my trigger and I'm well in profit. Now I'm going to wait to see what happens. And you don't even bother with all this hourly chart stuff.
yeah, if if I was on another exchange other than Kraken, it would be different. But if I'm just on Kraken, I just let it ride because I don't care. Even when I was like underwater on that BTC position at one point, right? Because
Based on the daily.
yeah, I was long. I'm long from 11.3, so
Yeah, so you were underwater for like $200.
I was underwater for a few days and I didn't care, right? Because
Right.
like
Because well, you had a system in place.
yeah,
And
but
mine, in hindsight, that's what I should have done. Like I was trying to get in 10.6, 10.7, anticipating the breakout off of this consolidation here. And the cloud wasn't telling you to get in then, but then it broke out, and I was like, well, I want to wait a little bit, and I just ended up having to enter over several days on the way up because you never knew, like, are you going to buy and then it retraces like $400 and you're kind of sweating it because you went in too heavy too fast. So I was like, well, since I didn't get the point of kind of miniature explosion that I was seeking, I'm going to do the next best thing and I'm going to average in over time. So that's what I did. And I started to take profit after we got that thrust, and then kind of slowed down yesterday. So I took profit after, a pretty significant move all in all, 10% on spot on the stuff that I was trading, but it was on margin. So it was like more than 10%. So it just depends how you play it. But even on a daily basis, like you said, we could go to 11.5 and still be bullish. So saying I'm going all in on margin at 12.8 and I'm at 20x margin, like don't do that. This isn't financial advice, but that would be bad advice.
yeah, I think patience and stamina are going to be really big here.
Yeah, this market's going to try to push you out.
If this is a multi-month trend, which it very well could be, you're going to have to disassociate yourself from the emotional highs and lows for sure. As a person who traded through the 2015 to 2018 bull market, I can tell you that having a hobby or side job where you're not just constantly glued to the chart is going to be a big deal. You're going to need some mental recovery,
some stamina.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
just because it wears you down.
And the volatility, the volatility really amps up too. So it's like, oh yeah, when we break 10K, I'm definitely gonna long that, and then it goes like $500 in either direction in 30 minutes, and you're like, how am I supposed to enter that?
And I say this a lot, but it's so true. I always used to people always talk about psychology of trading, and I'd always just be like, yeah, whatever, that's total garbage, right? But man, you find out who you are very quickly when you're in that sort of situation where you're either underwater or you're not in, or you're in and you're up by a lot and you're like, oh, what do I do? I can't think about anything else right now. All I can think about is this position. You have to center yourself and remind yourself where you are, where we are in the cycle, where we are in just life. I don't know. Anyway.
That's good. All right, so let's say this bull market carries on. Both of us think that the Dixie is pivotal to this move in Bitcoin and other assets. And both of us have talked for weeks, months, about how we think the dollar index is helping drive the broader market.
Yeah, where do we draw the line of like how far back we say we've been talking about this stuff? I don't want to be the guy that said I told you so, but
Well, this round
know.
though, I mean, we have been warning people at least since it broke down in July, right? Like, I know we've been talking about it for 2 years, but we were talking about how strict the correlations have been for months now. And we were on watch with the inverse head and shoulders on the way up. You can listen back talking about how we thought it wouldn't go very far just because of the fundamentals, and that if it failed and broke down, yada yada yada. Here we are. It doesn't matter. Forget all that. Let's talk about now. It's at 92. Going into the election, this is absolutely on watch. The fundamentals, the news is all playing into this. When do we consider this like broken down sayonara 88 here we come? Because that's kind of the big question that I have. Like, do you think we could just stay range bound, like above 92, above 92.50, up to say 93, 93.50? Do you think we could stay that way through the end of the year, or do you think this is an imminent breakdown type of situation?
I think it's ready to go down.
That's where I lean to.
By January, February, it's going to be an inevitability anyway, because we're going to have a stimulus by then for sure, regardless.
And this will be directly affected by the stimulus because, the stimulus will be putting another $2 trillion or so into the system.
Right.
Which is a lot. $2 trillion is a lot of money. And we're just
more, maybe it's more.
Yeah.
It's just a number at this point. But even the technicals are saying we're getting a bearish TK recross below the cloud, which is the opposite of the bullish TK recross above the cloud, in that it should be mega bearish here. It says that it reconsolidated post bear move and it's ready for the second round,
Yeah. The cloud on this is hideous.
It had a chance. It had a chance
to
go back to 95, 96, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen.
It reminds me so much of my 2017 fall hopium for altcoins. I don't know if you remember those. Looking for edge-to-edge trades that then they failed, and then you have to convince yourself to get out of there because it's so weak. This is just saying, to me, this just screams dollar weakness across the board. It looks just like the end of 2017, 2018, that second huge leg down to 88. Some of the macro podcasts that I listen to are starting to call for 88. This could be a huge move down in the dollar. And the implications of that are strong across asset classes. Cash is trash.
Cash is trash, yeah. I think at this point the expectation is 88, but can you imagine if we go below 88?
Yeah, what if we go to 70 or something?
If we go below 88, we are 100% hitting an all-time high for BTC. No doubt about it.
That's your 50, 60K scenario.
I don't Dixie I don't know about 50, 60, but
Dixie to 80
at least 20
takes Bitcoin. No, Dixie to 80 takes Bitcoin 33K by July. Price exploration on Bitcoin, we'd have no idea what to expect. Price exploration after Bitcoin has been worth $20,000. What do people even think about that? People are going to start calling you guys, you listeners. They're going to call you because they know you're the Bitcoin person in their family. And they're going to say, how do you buy one of these? How does it? People can't buy a Bitcoin. They're the price of a car. This is ridiculous. How do I do this? What should I do? And you're going to be like, just buy Litecoin, bro.
You're supposed to say you can buy a fraction of a coin.
No, I know. I just wanted to give a spin on.
Or that. You know what it'll be? You can buy a fraction of a coin on Venmo or PayPal.
Heck yeah, you can. You say DCA, bro. Just buy $100 a week for the rest of your life, and maybe you'll end up with a Bitcoin.
You know what's going to be bigger news is you can buy a fraction of a coin on Facebook or Instagram.
Yeah.
You can buy a fraction of a coin directly off of Twitter, which is currently possible through specific apps and things, but
yeah,
that's going to be huge for sure.
Yeah, buying stacking sats is like the boys at Tales from the Crypt are going to be I hope they have trademarks. 'Cause that'll be the only thing to do. Or, I mean, this is also the case for altcoins long term, because you cannot look at Bitcoin that expensive and people not say like, okay, what's next? How do I do this?
Yeah, I mean, people were asking me about Litecoin a lot this week, probably because it's in the depths of
Hell,
the core, right?
yeah.
And if we map on, where was the BTC all time high? It was like,
And PayPal approved Litecoin as one of the like assets, which was pretty stunning to me.
yeah, we should pull up that list. I didn't actually look at it. There's some rotational game theory you can play with, like Dogecoin, for example. If Dogecoin goes to sub 10 sats, it's like, well, I'll put $1,000 into that, right? Like, why not? You know?
Yeah, these are where these big alt cycles come from, you know. And you don't even have to buy Bitcoin first most of the time now. Like, these dollar pairs are honestly pretty dominant. As an investor, though, you always need to be comparing how would I do if I just bought Bitcoin, because that's a lot less stress.
Of course, but the people who ask you about Litecoin targets are the ones who've been sitting in Litecoin for years at this point,
Right.
most likely. You know, these aren't Bitcoin community members asking you about Litecoin targets. they're Charlie Lee evangelists or something, right? But there is a multi-year falling wedge here. Like, this will break up eventually. LTC will. The question is obviously just when. There's a bull div on this as well. But you can't think to yourself, man, LTC is going to outperform BTC in the next few months. So I don't have a good answer for the Litecoin people.
I think it looks like garbage relative to BTC. That's the problem.
Of course it's garbage.
When do you find out? Like, when do you seek that advantage?
Well, I think your bids are down here. You know, your bids are at previous all-time lows, right?
Yeah.
The market, I think, is feeling that with bullish divergence, with volume next to nothing on Bitfinex. If it spikes down at that level, I might even have to buy some.
There needs to be some fundamental reasons, like the PayPal news, I guess. Yeah, I mean, there needs to be some fundamental reasons, like the PayPal news, to say, like, okay,
my argument
Litecoin
is
has
the
a purpose.
My argument is there never going to be any fundamental news. You can talk about Mimblewimble and side chains or whatever else they're calling it. I can't remember. Like, they have some
stuff they're trying to do
coming, which will be pointed to as the reason why price is increasing, when I'm saying that's wrong. It's all technical. This will have a rotational cycle with BTC, as it always has. So
somebody asked us about Monero.
Yeah.
I think Monero had an incredible retest. If you're trying to play this strictly as some kind of Adam and Eve type of thing, like a double bottom, it technically is really nice. It could go deeper in my mind. It could go all the way back to that weekly close, like 0.00888. But at a bare minimum versus that wick, that's what this looks like, a retest to me. Like, Monero, still in my mind, one of the strongest cryptocurrencies fundamentally, and on the weekly looks fantastic.
It has the lowest inflation among any altcoin that isn't a pre-mine, basically.
Yeah.
Monero.
I think if you are wanting to get a position in Monero, you could start to do so now without a ton of risk of like bleeding relative to Bitcoin massively. I'm not doing that yet. I want to see this pattern play out a little more. When it comes time to buy alts, though, this is a question I've gotten some, is like, is the DeFi stuff just got to play out longer? You know, like, will the next round of alts, will it be DeFi stuff again? Or will it be, you know, old coins, old majors?
At this point, to me, it's anything listed on Coinbase, anything that's easily accessible, that's not on MetaMask, or not, you know, that doesn't require an additional learning step.
Yeah.
I think that's actually going to do better, because as we get retail people rotating in from, you know, TikTok or wherever, most of those people aren't going to be trading on MetaMask.
Yeah,
I don't think.
And then when you go to the people who've done it already, like I'm looking at Uni right now. I think people, you know, the token mechanisms we've had enough experimentation to realize that the farmers are going to farm, they're going to farm it, and they're going to sell it. So it puts this really steady selling pressure on this farmable stuff. And people, I think, will still use dexes. I think that part is important, but I don't know that that directly translates to the token models being successful yet. I think there's going to be some governance changes or whatever else to try to make it more appealing to hold these tokens, because they need to do that for a variety of reasons, incentivizing liquidity and everything else. So I personally don't think that our next like big round of upside is going to come from the same DeFi tokens that just had it. I think it could go back to some of those other like their own blockchain majors. But
Well, that makes sense. I mean, something that's up 500% isn't going to go up another 800%
yeah,
versus something else that hasn't moved at all, right? Like,
yeah, if you're looking at the value play, which is the better value? XMR and relative to its all-time highs being like extraordinarily valuable and useful as an independent blockchain, or Uni, which is really hard to justify what the value is. Like XMR on the dollar pair still looks incredible, actually. Like maybe I will buy XMR.
look at it on the weekly.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
It's just consolidating at highs. It's crazy.
Yeah. So I think it makes total sense to me for the next round of like, okay, Bitcoin's chilling for a minute. Altcoin's got some time to run. Like, I mean, geez Louise, I'm changing my mind on XMR on the air. Like this weekly looks stunningly bullish. Stunningly bullish.
Yeah, it looks really good.
If Bitcoin craps the bed, I want XMR at like $97 to $98. That's a big dip, but that would be like absolutely screaming buy from a dollar standpoint. But Bitcoin, Monero is consolidating really, really nicely on all time frames right now, and I'd be totally fine buying this. And I pointed to relative to BTC, I think it looks great on the daily and weekly time frame.
Monero is another one of these chains where on-chain stuff is just surging. Transactions per day all-time high, fees all-time high, which sounds bearish, but it's bullish because it means more people are using the chain. I don't know. It looks good. I'm talking my position there, but it is what it is.
I have no position, so we're helping convince me. Another one that I think fits like kind of the fundamental narrative is pretty good. It would be like a BNB.
I said at low time frames, it looks like a inverted Adam and Eve. Go to like the 4 hour, 1 hour on that.
Yeah, it could be, or it could just be a bearish pennant, but I don't think so. I think BNB looks pretty good. That's relative to Bitcoin though, actually. So maybe it is on that, but you look at the dollar and it looks like this long ascending triangle. Looks super bullish to me. And the reason for being bullish about BNC is
BNB.
BNB. There is a direct correlation from outflows on BitMEX into Binance. Like Binance futures are becoming dominant, Binance and Bybit. And if Binance can avoid, getting subpoenaed or whatever, charged by the U.S. government and others, then it looks, really good from a chart perspective. Like BNB looks incredible. And Binance and BNB, like the token valuation relative to the platform, they've worked really hard on like token holders benefiting from platform stuff.
Do you think regulatory clampdown would be bearish for BNB, the token?
Yes. I think the opportunity for Binance to be like next or whatever in terms of being in the crosshairs that's the type of FUD event that I don't even call it FUD, it's real. But it's the type of thing that I think would be, the cause of a Bitcoin dip broadly and the risk of a BNB trade. But that doesn't stop me from thinking Binance and BNB look super bullish right now. And if there's any company that's like less global or like more global than Binance, I don't know what it is, because if you try to pin down this is exactly where Binance is based, good luck. So what do regulators do with that,
Yeah.
With BitMEX, all of the founders were American. They were
it's more about like people accessing the exchange for where they're from. Even Deribit this week announced mandatory KYC. I saw you tweeting, crying about it on Twitter.
I
Not that
wasn't
you use Derivate, not that I would know that information, but um, and it's true though.
delete.
We don't have an avenue to trade how we used to trade or how we should be able to trade because of U.S. regulatory stuff, right?
Right.
Like we have the strongest court system in the world, arguably, and they will go after you, just as the SEC has, or CFTC, whoever. So it's tough because we see all this stuff. We want to trade it. We want to use leverage. We want to size up positions, and it's just extremely hard to do that.
Or we want to have access to dynamic products. Like a perpetual swap is a great product for someone to be able to trade that an American really just can't trade. Liquid retail options, or you can get them on. You can get options on CME or LedgerX, but most of the trading volume is on Deribit, and the ease of trading options is on Deribit. But Americans don't have great access to that kind of stuff. So like you gotta trade what you have access to. But anyway, the chart on BNB has pretty clear like failure areas to me, like where does it break down, and it looks very bullish. These are the types of charts that I'm looking at if I'm looking for altcoin exposure. I'm not just gonna jump right back into Wi-Fi and Uni and the stuff that worked last time.
I think on the DeFi video I did this week, SNX still looks really good. And there was one other one that looked really good. I can't remember the name of it though.
SNX is synthetics, right?
Yeah.
Whoa. This daily chart looks crazy. It went all the way to 7 something. I don't have the full history on SNX. This is an interesting one because it did really, really well, but they waited a long time to list on Binance. So like a lot of the chart history is on like KuCoin and stuff.
Yeah, KuCoin.
But yeah, it looks like it's been in kind of a steady downtrend, but whenever it breaks that, it's going to be pretty clear.
Yeah, it looks like a falling wedge on the daily to me.
Yeah, I bet it does, especially relative to the historical chart because their chart goes back to early 2018.
Oh, Band actually looks really good too. Check that one out. Inverted head and shoulders and Band.
Yeah, I've been following Band. I traded it once, I think. Had to stop out, but I've been interested in it ever since. Ooh, they just had one of my favorite types of wicks too. These Binance, like somebody dumped it all type of wicks. You remember Wave used to do this?
Mm-hmm.
That's like, I swear it's like a bat signal for some altcoins. Like you see somebody take advantage of the book liquidity and it goes down 50% on a single wick. It's like, bam, there's a bottom. Bam, there's a bottom.
Well, it's stop loss.
Yeah, stop loss.
Stop running. Capitulation.
Yeah, this looks like a bat signal on Band. Like I would buy Band here and I would sell it at $10, and there's your double. I like this.
One last thing I'll talk about regarding retail influx of money is look at the Coinbase versus Bitfinex premium, which historically, if there's a premium on Coinbase over Bitfinex, we're mega bullish because that just represents pure unadulterated money that's not Tether.
New money FOMO?
If you're an anti-Tether person.
Man, you know what else I've noticed off Coinbase? And actually, not just Coinbase, Bitstamp, like the places where you would think, where would a corporation go to just put an iceberg order on Bitcoin? And I'm just seeing these whale alerts that are like $12 million, withdrawn off of Coinbase to unknown wallet. There's just another corporate treasury getting filled is what it feels like every time.
Yeah, there's a lot of auto bidding, like auto buying going on there for sure.
Yeah. So this ratio.
Yeah, so it's worth paying attention to. Certainly, like if you get mentally bearish, just check out the ratio. Another thing I've been watching is the USD premium.
Oh yeah,
which continues to hold above $1 historically since January. If we're above $1, we're bullish. So if this dips below $1, then with other factors, you can say, all right, we're probably going to get a bigger dip in price here.
Yeah. Yeah. You think between all this corporate news, corporate treasury stuff, it was MicroStrategy, Square, PayPal getting involved. Then the PayPal wasn't putting a percentage of their treasury into it. What they did was probably more significant. Like, do you think I'm being, overly homerish by saying like I think a lot of these are just corporations filling?
I don't think so.
That's what they look. That's what they look like.
They can't.
Yeah.
Where do they go to buy? Like, if you want to buy a big position, and you see the option,
figure something out, OTC maybe. But
yeah, of course. But if you say to yourself, I can do this on an exchange,
right, and they're doing it without impacting the price too much. What I've noticed, and this is just my gut, like with some of these large accounts filling their allocations for Bitcoin, every now and then we'll get this correlation that doesn't make sense relative to what we normally get, right? So, we've talked a lot about these correlations with the Dixie or the stock market. Sometimes you just know, like, if the stock market dives like 0.5%, 1%, Bitcoin's probably going to be pretty weak. And then all of a sudden you see like it's just stair-stepping up that whole time. And I feel like the correlation is being interrupted by large automated order programs on Bitcoin. And it's just filling corporate bags like that. It just feels that way. It's just my gut, like watching charts all the time, like watching the opens in the morning and how everything operates together. And I feel like I've been seeing a ton of that where.
And that happened earlier this week, right? Like,
yeah, it did. It happened, I think 2 days in a row, like pretty close to the market open. And it's like, you just feel like some dude sat at their desk at 7 a.m. and turned on the buy program, like, and they were just watching their orders swallow up all the available supply on Coinbase or wherever. Truly feels that way. And I haven't seen anything like that in a long time.
Yeah, I agree.
It doesn't necessarily mean it's some public company that's announcement is imminent. It could just be anybody with size looking to fill some Bitcoin. But like that's the type of positive divergence from normal correlations that really helps signal the strength of a bull market to me.
I agree.
All right, I think we've killed it, done everything.
We've slapped the bag efficiently, huh?
Yep. Do you have any like week from now? What are you gonna be surprised by? I'm not gonna be surprised by 14K. I'm not gonna be surprised. Would you be surprised by like 16K inside a week or 2 weeks?
I think it'd be more surprised if we're sub 10. If we're sub 10, then that's surprising. Upside is who knows.
I don't think we'd go sub 10 without some really serious drama between now and then. The difference between 1 and 2 weeks is the U.S. election. So
many people have already voted. I didn't even listen to or hear any of the commentary about the debate last night, but
yeah,
at this point, so many people have already voted. So
I think so. I think the first debate was so absurd that last night's debate just didn't matter.
Didn't move the needle.
Yeah, but we'll find out by 2 weeks from now whether we had a contested election. Like whether we're in the midst of a contested election, and I think that's going to be the signal for kind of what's next. And I think if there's enough of a clean sweep, like if the result is clear, that's going to shoot us up high, I think.
All right. We'll see. I think it's going to be contested no matter what happens. Either side is going to contest it regardless.
Well, that could be our volatility moment then.
Yeah.
Or chance to buy a dip. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We will catch you next time. Leave us a rating. So give us a review. That's what we want. Thanks to Matcha for being our partner. Go to letterstats.com/Matcha. Try out the best way to trade on DEX. Bye-bye. In the blink of an eye, the easy river has just run dry. In a house of cards, I feel the breeze wound so tight I can barely